One of the best things about America is being able to choose where you live. So what do you prefer? Living in the big city or the country life?
This is a Brooklyn-bound 2 express train. The next stop is...
And I live in a van down by the river.
Unfortunately, we live in a world where people think that more is better. But in a lot of cases, I disagree. Let me give you some examples of where more is not a good thing. More traffic, more crowds, more lines, more crime, more pollution, more noise, more attitude, more dangers, more expenses. None of those are examples of when more of is better or good. But that's exactly what you get when you live in the big city.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
More of all that negative stuff. As opposed to living in the country, where there is not nearly as much traffic. The crowds are minimal. Rarely do you have to stand in a line. The crime rates are lower. There's not as much pollution. There's not as much noise. You don't get so much attitude. It's not as dangerous. And it's not as expensive to live in the country as it is to live in the big city. Also, another thing that I couldn't handle about the big city life is having to rely on other people. Right now, my wife and I are very fortunate to live out in the country. We live on the outskirts of an already very small town, and we have 8 acres of land. We have the luxury of being able to have chickens and goats and bunnies and a lot of the freedom that comes when you live in the country. I love being able to go into my own yard or on my property and build a fire. If I want to, I can step right off of my doorstep and take a pee, and there's nobody gonna see. That's true freedom. There was a time that we did allow my job to move me to a big city, and we moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Oh my God, never again.
Take these shoes on the farm with me.
And they're so dope.
Do you love them? They're farm material.
We lived on the south side of Atlanta, and my job, I had to drive through Atlanta to get to work, and it would take me about an hour to an hour and a half. That's a total of 2 to 3 hours a day spent in a car in traffic, heavy traffic. There were times that I had to rely on mass transit to go from one location to another. I don't like putting my life in the hands of other people like that. It's quiet. What do you hear right now? The crackle of the fire, some birds in the background, acorns falling on the carport tin roof. You don't hear horns honking, tires screeching, sirens, people yelling, airplanes flying overhead, helicopters. You don't hear that stuff. Another great thing I love about living in the country. Alright, I just wrote down some notes here, and I'm going to share with you my top 5 reasons why I think living the country life is better than living in the big city. Number 1, freedom. I have the freedom to walk right out my back door, take a few steps, and shoot any gun I want to. I have the freedom to come into my backyard and build a fire like this. Can't do that in the big city. I have the freedom to own chickens and goats and rabbits and other wildlife or domestic animals that I want to own. Can't do that in the big city. So just freedom of living in the country is the number 1 reason why I think it's better. Number 2 on the list is peace and quiet. Number 3 on the list, no crowds. No crowds of people. And that also counts for no traffic, no standing in line for everything. The more I'm around people, the more I don't like them.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
I hate when I have to go downtown for something. Something about being in crowds that is just not for me. I don't like being around other people that I have no control over or that may have control over me. Number 4 reason why country living is better than big city living. It's cheaper. You can get a place in the country for about half of what you're going to pay in the big city. So financially, living in the country is a much better deal. And the 5th top reason for living in the country versus the big city, self-reliance. Not having to rely on other people to do the things I want to do. I don't want to have to rely on hailing a taxi cab if I want to go somewhere. I want to be able to get in my truck and drive. I don't want to have to rely on a bus schedule or a mass transit authority subway or anything like that. I don't want to have to rely on somebody else to live and to do the things I need to do. So self-reliance is number 5 on my list. But anyway, I know there's going to be some people that are going to disagree and they love living in the big city and they wouldn't trade it. And they have their list of reasons why they think city life is better than country life. I respect their opinions on that, but there's just no way in the world I'll ever agree with it. Now let's talk about a SHTF situation, or zombie apocalypse, or the end of the world as we know it, whatever you want to call it. Could you imagine being downtown New York City at Times Square amongst millions of people when the SHTFs, it would be chaos. People would be stampeded, and you've seen the movies. Would you rather be in the middle of all that? Or would you rather be out on your own 8 acres of land, ready to do what you needed to do to defend your family and your property? Could you imagine being in the middle of all those people when something goes wrong and you don't even have a vehicle to get back home? You would have to rely on a subway, which probably in this situation isn't functioning. What are you going to do? I just don't understand why anybody would put themselves in that situation, honestly. I mean, I know millions of people live in big cities all over the world. It's just not for me. And this is my video, so it's going to have my opinions on it. Yours may vary, but that's okay. We live in America. We have the freedom to choose where we want to live. And we have a choice of living in big cities if we want, or living the country life. For me and my family, I choose the country life. Always will. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to throw that out there. What do you prefer? Big city living or the country life? Let me know in the comments section below. And hey, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscription button. And also make sure you click the little bell. And if you like this video, be sure to give me a big thumbs up. Till next time, keep calm, carry on, and keep it outdoors. Ow, shit, that hurt. That's hot. Fire's hot. Or would you rather be out on your own acres, own